Bobby Moore and Sir Jeff Hurst, the Trevor Brooking and Billy Bonds, Paolo Di Canio, West Ham United. We celebrate our victories, we stick together in defeat. Proud of our history, West Ham United, more than just a podcast. More than just a podcast.
Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening. This is More Than Just a Podcast. It is season 13. It is episode 67. We're so close to next season. We're only literally a week or two away. With me, we're
3 or 4
transfer special. You wait for one transfer. In fact, we've had 3 transfers. If I'm up to yesterday, not yesterday, last week, last time we recorded. And 3 like buses, they turn up 3 at a time, and we've signed 2. We've actually signed a third that will be announced tomorrow. So we thought we'd have an impromptu summer podcast, and with us is a rare sighting for the summer. It's Johnny Bucci. Where are you? What are you doing?
Oh, I'm at home talking to yous.
Yeah, your microphone's a bit weird, but we've tried to sort that out. So apologies. It's not as bad as it was on our outside broadcast, which apparently some people found a little bit difficult to hear with all the background noise. And Shedman, where are you? What are you doing?
I'm in my shed.
Oh, I went too early, didn't I?
We're used to that though.
Yeah. Anyway, thank listeners. Thank you for our summer party. We enjoyed it. So it was a good day out. So thank you.
It appears we should apologise for the podcast though.
What?
I've not listened back to it. But apparently...
Well, some people, Dave enjoyed it, but other people said,
pile of shit.
Well, it was hard to listen. Some people I spoke to quite enjoyed it, but yeah, Ian Dale and Len both said it was unlistenable. But
well, they are the professionals, aren't they?
Yeah, there you go. They're a little bit perfectionist, right? It was a bit raw. It was a bit edgy, but not as bad as it was. Not as bad. Yeah, well, more of that later.
Well, me as well.
I'm sure you got the message, yeah, earlier on Messenger.
No.
More of that later. Read your messenger on Facebook.
A
good friend of ours. Anyway, let's talk about transfers. Let's start with the Leeds winger, Somerville. I'm not going to pronounce his first name because I've got no idea how it's pronounced. Do you want to have a go, John?
Oh, Chrysancho or something.
Nigel?
Well, Jimmy Somerville, isn't it?
Jimmy.
I'm going to call him Crystal Somerville.
No, it's Crescendo, isn't it? Or
Crescendo, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was our first signing, and apparently we've been after him for some time. Now, here's the interesting thing. Who is the CEO of Leeds United? Nigel?
Your mate, not mine.
He is your mate. Why do you say he's not your mate?
Because he was one of the... he was part of the Arsenalification of West Ham United prior to the move.
He's a Luton Town supporter.
Yes.
And his name is?
Angus Kinnear.
Correct. And he joined from Arsenal as marketing director. He came as managing director of West Ham to oversee. Very good source in the day. Liked a Peroni. Went out for him a few times for Peroni. But nice chap. I know you don't think so, Nigel. But they've stayed in touch. So Brady, Sullivan stayed in touch with Kinnear, which sort of oiled the wheels. Now, here's the interesting thing. So it was well reported, the fee, 25 million, yeah, and some add-ons, although they weren't reported. But Leeds made a statement about this, saying we had activated an exit clause, which came as a bit of a surprise. I asked my senior source and said, confidentiality agreement, can't talk about it. However, a source close to Leeds has revealed, I haven't revealed this up to now, but I'm going to reveal it because the source at Leeds told me. I'm not under any confidentiality agreement. So the story is We approach Leeds. The exit clause was for 25 million. Tick. Yeah. It had to be made by a club in the second stage of a European competition, which West Ham was at the time. So Tim Steidten, while David Moyes was still there, made the first inquiry, and we made an offer. It must have been in January over the winter for Somerville, which apparently they were legally obliged to tell him of the offer, and apparently he said, I want to see whether I'd prefer to stay at Leeds. I want to see if Leeds are promoted to the Premier League. If not, then they were obliged to tell him. Now, 25 million, but apparently the rules were it had to be paid in one lump sum. What did West Ham want to do? They wanted to pay it over 4 instalments. 25% up front, 25% a year, 2 years, 3 years. Leeds said no, and in the end they negotiated that West Ham would pay over the release clause. I'm told it was £26 million plus £350,000 of expenses on top of that as a normal transfer fee. On top of that, there was, I'm told, £3 million. Was it £3 million of add-ons, normal add-ons? And then an interesting add-on that was if he plays a senior, he's a Dutch international, isn't he? Or youth player, I believe. If he plays an international debut, there's another specific clause around international that will add on. In total, my source tells me, 35 million if all clauses are met. I'm sure they won't be met, but that's it. Why would, and this is my first question to you, Nigel, and then I'll come to John, why would Leeds want to put on a confidentiality clause if that is true, what my lead source tells me? By the way, my lead source is not Angus Kinnear, just before anyone says that.
Why would they want confidentiality?
Yeah, why would they insist on a confidentiality clause? Why would they not want their fans knowing?
Well, I think you just said they wouldn't want the fans knowing because it's
Is 35 million not all right? I know he's Championship Player of the Year.
for how old is he? He's young
22.
still, isn't he? Yeah.
22.
For a young player like that, if he could, he's got 10 years in him at a top club or Premier League club. If you spent 10 years at West Ham, you look at that, you think 3.5 million a year.
Yeah.
We've done very well. If all the targets are met. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure Leeds have also just recently they've done something, I think, with the away season tickets. I don't know if they doubled the price of them or something. It was like I know Leeds and Ticketing were one of the clubs that recently came out, I think, and they definitely upped the prices. I'm pretty sure it was with away fans. I think they wanted like £800 for an away season ticket.
Really?
What you got to remember is in which people don't understand, in the Premier League, the most you'll pay for an away ticket face value is £30 plus booking fee. That does not exist in the Championship. So there are teams that will charge away fans £40-50. So whether, I don't know why. As I said, the only reason I could think you keep it quiet is to hide the fact you've took a certain amount of money.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to get a call from Angus Kinnear when this podcast goes out, going, please don't drop me in any trouble, Sean. I see it's been picked up already by various Leeds outlets and websites and fan sites. Let me come to John. John, good deal for the prices, if true?
Well, yes, I think so. I mean, I don't see why Leeds should get a payout if he becomes an international player, but yeah.
I know you put these weird things in, but that's
you don't see why Leeds should get a payout if he becomes an international player.
Yeah, why?
Well, have they not played a part in his development?
Well, they did. When did they buy him? What age did they buy him?
They bought him at 19.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Uh,
How much they pay for him?
he's not classed as homegrown. I was just having this argument with someone. He's not
No,
classed
he's
as
not.
homegrown
Because you've got to be 18.
because
I
Leeds
thought.
people were arguing. He joined at 19. He was there for 2 years, 4 months before his 21st birthday, and you've got to be there for full 3 years before your 21st birthday, homegrown. When he played in the Premier League, of course, he was under 21, so he didn't need a squad position. I think Leeds fans are getting mixed up on that, but you're
Yeah,
right,
it's
he's not
got to
homegrown.
be 18. You've got to be 18. You've got to join a club at 18.
Yeah. He joined in 2020. I think it was 2020. Age 19. So, look, I sort of remember him. Going back to John, I sort of remember him in the Leeds days. I think I remember him for the goal against Liverpool. Didn't he break a record by scoring, I know, the first goal at Anfield or something? I'm trying to remember exactly.
The first
Well,
goal at Anfield.
Way
Wow.
goal. They'd not conceded a goal at Anfield for ages, and he smashed their record. I'm sure you know better than
No,
me.
he's a championship player of the season, so
Yeah, but he
it's
was in the Premier League as well.
I know, but he's a decent player, isn't he? He looks like he's going to solve a troublesome position for us. So I look forward to seeing him.
Yeah, well, let's see. I mean, he goes straight. Where does he go? Right? Where does he fit in?
On
To
On the left
I'm
side.
guessing.
On the left,
and who usually fills that left position?
anyone he feels like, Moyes used to put everyone out there to see if they just like have a
Well,
go. Didn't he?
generally, recently, I think it was Paquetá, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the point I was trying to get you to say. So where does Paquetá go?
right.
In the middle?
Well, he
Back
can
into
go
the
in the
middle.
middle.
Okay. Bowen on the right.
Yeah, what you got to remember is that Souček's, second stepfather is no longer managing the club.
Yeah.
So, it's quite possible that he will not be guaranteed the football that he used to get.
Yeah.
Which I didn't have a problem with him playing every game. To be fair, I'm not a Souček hater. I thought
He's been a great
fantastic.
sign, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he has. I think the haters, really, I don't know. Every club, every team needs a Souček. I think the problem wasn't Souček's fault. It was when he had the likes of, Rice next to him, and then a couple of times when Calvin Phillips was playing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Calvin Phillips and Souček, and it just seemed too negative at times. He could have 3 defensive sitters, but when Souček's game, I think he openly said it was affected by the Declan Rice. I want to play more forward.
Yeah.
So
We shall
But
see.
we'll see.
We're talking
Yeah.
about this and whether Souček and other players may leave. Let's talk about today's news. Now we thought originally that Fulkrug, I think it is, Nicholas Fulkrug was a sort of a dummy, a ruse for Duran, which we'll talk about later. But it appears not. And I asked the senior source and said, he's a step above. He's better than what we've got. He's better, and obviously saying he's better than Ings and Antonio. He's a different level. 31 is quite old. And in fact, as someone pointed out to me, if you add up the 3 strikers now, they come to a combined age of 97. They soon will be able to play a Masters tournament. I think you have to be over 35 for that. So, it won't go down well with Antonio or with Ings possibly. That obviously he's going to be first choice. He originally was supposed to come over, and I'm sure I got tipped off because you got tipped off too that he was West Ham scheduled a plane to come in last week. He then turned up in Switzerland. Look, I know the plane was booked. It didn't come off. I got a lot of grief about it and jokes on Twitter. But he flew in on it was Saturday, wasn't it? On Saturday. Uh, uh, I just happened to be. I was passing. I happened to be there with Finley as the plane landed at Biggin Hill, and he
You
was
just happened to be passing.
yeah, just happened to be passing Biggin Hill. You know,
Of course you did. Because Biggin Hill, where's that? It's in Surrey, Sean, isn't it?
it's not far away from Surrey. It's right on the border with
No,
Kent,
I
actually.
call it Kent, actually. Yeah.
Well, it's
So I've
just
been a bit
past.
facetious there,
No,
yeah.
all right,
I know
it's-
where Biggin Hill is
it's
because I've
sort-
worked there.
I call it Croydonish area. You know,
Oh, would
Croydon's
ya?
very close. Yeah.
Not Beckenhamish
Yeah,
or
I call it
Bromley-ish.
Croydon. It's the other side of Croydon. It's quite close for
I
me.
wouldn't like to fucking walk it, Sean, because it might take you a day.
All right. So Finley and I ourselves went for a
Yeah, let's get this
we
right.
went for a little stalking exercise to watch the plane
Fucking
land.
You know,
And
do you not see how sad that is, Sean?
My God,
It was
it's
a bit of
getting worse,
fun.
John, isn't it? It's
I know.
actually getting worse.
It's so bad.
we were
My
tracking
God.
the plane. The plane bloody landed early. So
Did you have a jacket with journalist on the back?
no?
Like, so
but
so
we
they
were-
knew not to arrest you.
It was interesting because we saw them get off the plane. They'd already landed by the time they landed early, and we saw the people get off, and we've got this picture through the fence. And then they got in the VIP building. But what they did is they bought their Mercedes to this VIP. Now I was in the hotel right next to the VIP area, and you could see. But what they do is they've got these blacked out Mercedes, and they pull them right up to the VIP entrance, so you can't see who's getting in the blacked out Mercedes. But there was some nice. By the way, if you want to have a go at Biggin Hill, they've got the Spitfires take off from there. And you can go for a ride for like £6,000, and the Spitfires.
Not
go.
just the Spitfires.
Well, I only saw Spitfires while I was there.
Oh,
Nice little coffee shop at the
I
end of the
believe
runway.
it
as
is
well.
home of the memorial flight.
It
which
is.
Yeah.
But I only saw a
Spitfire,
Spitfire taking off
Lancaster,
landing.
and
You
a
can
Hurricane.
actually pay to go up in a Spitfire. Anyway, it's not a Spitfire.
A Spitfire.
A Spitfire.
Oh.
Anyway, as we were leaving, so off. You'll love this. As we were leaving, after Finley go, oh, it's cold here. We're not going to get a picture of Timmy or Nicholas. The plane took off again, so we missed it a second time, and it went over our heads. So Finley got on the radar. Where was it going? It was going to Seville. Who was it picking up?
The Spanish geezer.
Guido Rodriguez, who is from Real Betis. He still lives in Seville, so that picked him up and returned to Stansted about 10 o'clock. By the way, just for disclosure, I did not go to Stansted to meet and do it again, right? I'm sad, but I'm not that sad. But anyway, the
Honestly.
the two-part medicals are done. There was a few people going, "Oh yeah, the medical's done on Saturday." It wasn't. Two-part medical. They do the bloods. They have to wait for the lab work. So I knew it was going to take to Monday. I asked the senior source, who said we hope to sign 3 players by Monday. Somerville was announced, and then obviously today, and I think tomorrow is where Guido Rodriguez gets free agent. Supposed to be on 33 grand, or was on 33 grand at Real Betis on a 2-year contract. Will be announced. So for the next 2 years, Argentine international should be all right. But let's get back to Full Craig. No, it's not Full Krug. Full Krug. Start with you, Nigel. What do we think about him? 31-year-old Bundesliga striker.
I mean, he's not spent his whole career playing in the Bundesliga. I believe I know he's at Werder Bremen before he joined Dortmund. Dortmund was sort of going through a transition when they signed him, but he'd done well at Werder Bremen. I think they got promoted, and he'd got the goals in Bundesliga 2 to do that. He's gone to Dortmund, a fairly decent goal scoring record at Dortmund. Few goals in Champions League. Got a couple, if I remember rightly, in the Euros.
I remember him coming on and scoring.
Yeah, but age, it's we've paid maximum for him, and there will, not that we should always look at resale value, but there is, his next move is for like 10 million if we're lucky.
Oh, if we're
Yeah.
lucky. He signed a 4-year contract, which I think they've said 4 years today, but
Well,
it's a 3 plus 1.
it is a thing. I think players that come through at top clubs, very young, play a lot of football, and you can see that they could burn out. So if you look at two of our oldest players, Antonio and Creswell, neither of them came through a Premier League academy. Yeah?
Yeah.
And maybe the longevity of their careers is because of that fact, that they didn't go through the Premier League academy, that they went through lower down. Tranmere was Creswell, who at times did spend outside the top flight. I'm not sure if he was there when they were non-league or not. And then obviously Antonio, I think he failed at Palace and ended up at Tooting and Mitcham. So they've had to fight for. And there's a bit of me that does think that a lot of these players that seem to come through that route, they will have a career into their mid to late 30s, where, if you look at some of the Premier League players, you look at Jack Wilshere for a stance. Broke into the Arsenal team 16, 17. He's finished before he's 30. So Fulkrug could be, but it's very rare for a striker that plays the way he plays to be playing top flight football or top league football into their mid 30s.
Yeah. Fee was
Now-
£27 million, by the way. He joined from Bremen for 12.6 million just last year.
Yeah,
Good little profit for them.
No, and that the Dortmund weren't. They say they weren't eager to sell. They probably didn't mind. They've doubled their money in a year on a player. They struggled in the league. They got to the final of the Champions League. Unfortunately for them, one of their big local rivals, Leverkusen, ran away with it. And also thinking of the last striker that we signed from Dortmund, or from Germany, I should say, not from Dortmund. Didn't really work out for him, did it?
No.
So, we'll see. I'm sort of on the fence. I really hope he is the player that we see at Dortmund. I really hope that we can play that way. I don't know. I see a weird interview. I think you sent it, Sean. I've not seen the games at the weekend, but listening to Antonio, there's still a lot of problems at West Ham. I'm not that confident. I don't know if it's coming across.
No, I know. I was just looking up how much they're saying. 27 million euros was the actual fee, which is £23 million, plus another €5 5 million euros, which is about another 4. So that's where you get the in add-ons. Don't know what the add-ons are, but some people say it's not as much as has been reported, but it's still a lot of money. And he was on £96,000 a week in the Bundesliga, and he's supposed to be, on around 100 grand a week for 4 years. That's another 20 million quid. Good if you can get it, yeah. Take him to 35 if he gets the extra year.
Yeah.
Let's hope it works, right? We haven't had a lot of luck with strikers, have we?
No, I see. Funny enough, some Twitter account trotted out the updated striker list under Gold and Sullivan. And
did they?
Yeah. So I think with this, I think we're up to 56. I think. So, realistically, Only Antonio. Maybe and Bowen if you
Well,
class him as a striker.
it-
I don't know. The funny thing is,
Interesting.
I
Before
don't
we,
see them as
Arnautovic.
strikers.
before
I
we
think Arnautovic done
let's
all right.
talk about Danny Ings and Antonio before we move on to Rodriguez, because obviously there's some people. I put it out there earlier that we were still going to get Duran as well as Fulkrug, and I asked the senior source before we came on air whether this is true, and he said, didn't say no, he said it's extremely unlikely unless strikers, and I plural, leave to free up spots to raise revenue. And so, in other words, I've
Got to
taken
sell
that to
before we
mean,
buy.
yeah, you'd have to lose Antonio and Ings to bring in Duran. Would you take that, Nigel? Would you get rid of those
Well,
two?
it depends
Bring
because
in Duran?
I mean, in a way, if you look at it, as we're saying, you know, Antonio's 34 to be 35. Ings is 31, is he? 32?
32.
So Ings is 32. Duran's 21.
He's 20,
20?
I think. I think he's 20.
Right. So, I mean,
What do we know about Duran? I mean,
not a lot.
He seems to be in an untenable position, right? Because he's done the crossed hammers on an Instagram chat, right? That's not going to make him good.
Was it, or was it Marvel superhero?
No, it was that. He's
Oh,
been
really?
threatened to be fined by the club, so he's not ingratiated himself with the fans. He hasn't ingratiated with the club. You know, some people suggest maybe a loan with a option to buy. I don't know. Does he just
Do you know what I
apologise to
do
the
if I'm
fan
West
base?
Ham? I sit there and wait and see and see because you got till the end of August.
Yeah.
I'd sit and wait and see what the reception is from the Villa fans.
Yeah.
Much like the Paul Ince.
Here's an idea.
Macari wanted to keep Paul Ince, until he heard us at Stoke.
Remember they wanted Orford as part of the deal, and we said no, and he's about to sign a new 5-year deal.
Signed a 5-year new contract.
Yeah, he has. I don't think that's been released yet, by the way.
Oh, right. You heard it here first. eyes.
Yeah, he has. Why not we give them, as part of the deal, give them Danny Ings back?
Yeah.
Could Danny Ings do a little backup job at Villa?
I would. To be fair, I'm not sure that Ings would. I mean, he turned down Southampton.
I know he did.
I don't think he's going to go back to Villa to the manager that got rid of him as soon as he walked through the door.
Call me sceptical, but if
We
they're
call
gonna,
you a lot of things, Sean.
if
I'm
they
not sure
go
that's one of
anywhere,
them.
it's got to be Saudi, hasn't it, or MLS? John, do you see that? I mean, who would want Antonio and Danny Ings? Where is the market for those two?
Ipswich.
Mm.
I don't know, newly promoted teams.
You think that they still got a part to play in the Premier League? Newly promoted team, I get that.
I mean, look, Antonio always starts the season off well, doesn't he? He always has a good 2 or 3 weeks, and then
He'd love
drops
to
off.
prove us wrong, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you can't get rid of them both, can you? You've got to have some backup. I mean, out of the two, I don't mind personally. I mean, I don't think Danny Ings is a bad striker. I think he's a decent striker.
Well, he did want to. You're right. He did want to play. He said he turned down.
Yeah,
and moved back to Southampton.
Who's to say that he won't? If we play in a different way, in a different system, maybe they can play to his strength, and maybe he scores goals. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, did you see that interview that Antonio did, John?
I did.
I didn't. No, I didn't. What
put it on
what
the
did he
group.
say?
Sean put it on a group, and
I don't take much notice of what Sean
well,
says.
I know, but this one I did.
Yeah, it's good.
It's interesting actually. It was because what Antonio has basically said is, we're trying to learn a new way of playing.
He did,
Which
yeah.
at 34, I guess ain't easy. Yeah, when you've just spent so, you know, there's a lot of things there for the people that didn't like Moyes' football to be excited about, but we've got to bear with it it could take 4, 5, 6 months for it to take shape. This is
Yeah.
what it sounds like.
Jesus.
So basically, people, way I see it is, and I have looked at it, and you think, well, Villa not going to be easy. If new season, everybody starts from scratch. But if Villa from the end of last season play us, could be a defeat, draw maybe. Palace away, well, we've just been tanked by them again. That could be nothing. And then we go Man City at home. And then I can't remember what the fourth game is, the second home game of the season. He's staring down the barrel a bit, and if he gets off to 3 defeats.
Well, we're talking about what Pellegrini said a bit later.
But he also,
Well, yeah.
I mean, you might also find that when he's got a team with Paquetá and Alvarez and players that maybe are used to playing these ways more so than some of the players that are trying to play it now, they might be able to adapt to it quicker.
The only thing about these pre-season defeats by Wolves and Palace is that ain't the team he's going to put out.
No, it's going to be nothing like it.
It ain't,
No, of course
he's signing first-team players. Fulkrug is going to be a starter, I do believe.
Yeah,
I agree.
sure
In front of Antonio, I think Somerville will be the starter.
Yeah,
Bowen will start.
Yeah.
Paquetá will start. Alvarez is injured, isn't he?
Alvarez is injured, and he's going to be out for a couple of more months, isn't he, Alvarez, Sean?
But this
Injured in the Copa America.
I don't know if it's that bad. I'm trying to find out information on that.
but the guy that's coming in from the out.
Yeah, I think that's why he's being
Rodriguez,
signed.
Yeah,
He's a defensive
He's a-
midfielder, isn't he?
he is.
He's
yeah.
a sitter, much like the Mascherano. Obviously not as good, but to link him to an Argentinian player that we've had there. We've got the centre-back, Kilman, as well.
A lot of people saying he doesn't look that great yet, but again, not proper
No,
games.
but, let's...
You probably
Listen.
saw, I don't know if you saw, but we didn't have a lot of our first team against Palace and it meant nothing. I see there were storms again. By the way, if there was 12,000, as the organisers told me at the first game in Jacksonville, as a picture you sent me, Nigel, or was it Len, even less,
Len sent it.
I did write to the organisers to ask them what the official attendance are, and they wouldn't tell me for the second game. But it was 12,275 at the first one. They wouldn't tell me what it was, but it looked like under 10,000.
Well, let's
It was. I mean, anyone
Tampa
who
Bay
lives
Buccaneers.
I know anyone who lives in Florida will tell you it's hurricane season. Most nights are full of rain, thunder, lightning, flash floods. So it's just a bad idea.
It's not that. I mean, if we look, you would link to that. I am pleased for the American fans in a way that they get to see the players and whatever.
Ted Lasso effect, yeah.
But it has made me a bit nauseous. Seeing what how far West Ham go, in meeting the fans, all the players are sent out, go meet the fans. Mark Noble socialise with the fans.
Yeah,
go
somebody
into
said,
the shopping centres.
why don't you do that for UK fans? Is that what you're going to say?
Exactly, and
Yeah.
this is the thing. This is exactly right, and unfortunately, sometimes it can be seen as a bitterness towards the American fans, which it's not.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But then they
You
should
don't
do
get
it
that
here.
kind of access, I
And-
agree with you.
Without banging on about all the concession stuff that we covered before and everything else, there's something quite distasteful going on, because what the club are, that 2 weeks in America for me, in a way, highlights they need the people to come over here and pay 70, 80, 90, £100 a ticket.
Yeah.
And it's the Americans that they want to come over to pay that money.
Agreed, but they'd rather watch a Man United, Liverpool, etc.
No, and this is the thing where the club actually are biting it, because what they've got is that I don't think they've managed to recruit new fans by going over there. what
No.
they've done is they've facilitated the existing fan groups,
I make
which are
you right.
passionate enough
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was a dream
it-
come true for them because you've seen them on social media, etc. It's it made their year, decade.
Oh yeah, listen, and there's a lot of expats out there. I had a little chat with a bloke on Twitter, and his dad's a canning tanner, and lives out there, and so it ain't just people that watch Green Street or whatever. That everybody's got a story and everybody's got a reason
Yeah.
for supporting West Ham, and I don't have a problem with it. The problem I have with, which people and which are trying to get over to the foreign supporters, unfortunately, without old shits like me and you boys, West Ham could have been a basket case of a football club a long time ago.
Yeah.
We're the ones that kept turning up when we were fucking shit, watching dog shit football, and we turned up without complaining because we loved the club. Now the Premier League and all the money and everything else, I'm sorry, it does feel like they personally would be more than happy to push me inside and say, off you go, son, don't need you anymore. I need the people that are going to pay 4 times what you pay. £385 a year off of you, don't buy us Fulkrug.
Yeah. Yeah. No, mate, you're right. Look, I don't think we made any money out. Looking at the sales, I mean, I watched the game on.
Well, I don't think it was for us to make money, Sean, because actually it was organised by a group.
I know,
yeah,
but
who
the reason.
So we were being paid to be out there.
Yeah, but you know how it works, right? If you wanted to make the big money, you had to go to LA or New York. You had to be in a tournament with one of the big 4 sides. You're not going to make money, no disrespect, playing Palace and Wolves. And that's why the tickets didn't sell. I'm not sure. We probably covered our costs.
The mad thing about
I doubt
it
we
is,
made any money from it, Nigel.
The mad thing about it is, after all that, when you look at it, we were probably the best supported team out of the 3 of them.
I'm sure we were, because we've got
And
a good
did
base.
Wolves and Palace play each other?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, right.
And Palace
we obviously
beat-
finished bottom of the group.
But get this. Well, look. So Wolves beat us 3-1. Then Palace beat Wolves 3-1. And then Palace beat us 3-1.
All right.
So it was on points, and they were crowned the stateside. But here's a funny thing, right? We didn't play our first team against Palace, but we had a behind the closed doors in the morning against Palace with almost an identical team. We won 3-0 with Ings, Cornet, and Bowen.
But did
scoring
Palace
3
put their?
goals.
There's no way Palace put their proper team
I
out.
didn't see the Palace team, but I was speaking to someone who was speaking to someone there and said it was a little, warm-up, knock-around with both teams there of giving minutes to players that maybe wouldn't get enough minutes in the evening game. But look, it didn't mean anything. These things don't mean anything. As long as, the American teams had a good time, then, as long as we didn't get
I feel like I
injured.
could trot this out every year, but 85, 86, we lost every pre-season game.
Yeah.
2010, 11, we won every pre-season game. 85, 86, nearly won the league.
Yeah.
2010, 2011, relegated with our worst performance ever in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to transfers. The one that we have literally signed a contract then just before we came on air, again, Fabrizio going a little bit early, but I spoke to the club and the senior source and said, look, he arrived a little bit later on Saturday night at Stansted. It took him a little more time to do his thing, to his 2-part medical and then signing. Is the free agent, the Argentinian. Guido Rodriguez. Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah. He's what do we know about him? I mean, he's wages, as you say, he might be covered. What do we know about him, John? Do you know anything about him?
No.
I'll be honest with you, I hadn't heard of him before.
It's like, yeah.
Nigel? I mean, he was in Copa America, wasn't he? I don't know about this year, but he's certainly been.
He was in the World Cup squad.
Yeah, I know that. Because I read that.
No, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of him. I saw his photograph of him holding the World Cup, and the bit of me's like, did you play? Was it like, was he one of them that just got a medal for turning up and could call himself a World Cup winner? because I don't know. Couldn't even.
I
even
hope he
the
doesn't
Betis-
sing certain songs along with Fernandez.
No. What's his name again?
Guido
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Real Betis. He was. Here's the funny thing, right? Just to get you a bit excited, he was obviously he finished his contract with Real Betis, which is Pellegrini's squad club, is it not? And
I know.
Yes,
yeah,
Pellegrini is at
and he
Betis.
was about to go. Reports say to Barcelona, and we snatched him from Barcelona's jaws. If you believe that. Probably not. Anyway,
Money talks.
he signed. He should be announced tomorrow. He can't have 2 signings a day. You know, the media team will have to come up with something. Did you see their little mind the gap with he's got a broken tooth on the media release today? No, how funny. Anyway, let's move.
I've just had some verdicts.
Go on. You asked
in
about
a group chat.
with
about
who?
So in a group chat I'm in, this is not my German friend, but this is someone who's got German relatives. He's got 3 verdicts from German relatives who
Okay,
like
go on.
football.
Yeah.
So the Eintracht Frankfurt supporter
Yeah,
said he's a real number 9.
yeah.
The Union Berlin supporter said Dortmund was stupid to sell him.
Okay, good.
The Cologne supporter said he can't play, but he's good in the box.
Okay, that's all we need, isn't it?
So there you go.
Yeah.
It's 3 different German.
All right.
Uh,
Shall we move on to right back? Because we've got 3 players. We might have a 4th player this week. And then we'll talk about whether we've got anything after that. Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Probably pronounced that wrong. AWB. We're getting closer. They want £18 million. A Man United source that I know says they'll accept £15 million plus £3 million of extras. He wants a payoff. I've been saying this for weeks. The Sun ran it today, and the Daily Mail ran the story I've been running for weeks. Eyes. That he wants a bit like Maguire, because he's going to drop his wages. He's on round about 100 grand a week, or between 90 and 100. I got told. He wants compo from the fee we're going to pay Man United. How good do you think AWB is, Nigel? To start with you. Is he worth 18 million?
yes.
Definitely.
18?
Is
yeah, all
18.
day long.
Is
I would
he a
say-
step?
I
He's
would
in his
argue-
last year. Is he a step up from Ben Johnson?
I would argue that he's worth double that.
Okay, all right.
So it's only his contract that
Yeah.
First choice, centre, right back.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why do Man United fans don't rate him and say he's a liability? He played against Liverpool in a 3-0 loss, and apparently was the only one to play 83 minutes. Came off injured after being smacked in the
Well, look,
face.
is a thing, yeah.
Goldberg,
Man United are going through had one of their worst seasons, believe it or not, despite winning the FA Cup, yeah, in the Premier League. It's a bit of a wake up call and you got to remember that a lot of their supporters may not remember when Man United was shit like we do, yeah. So they're brought up on this Ferguson, you know. You think Fergie's been there? They started winning things in 1990 with the FA Cup. So from 1990 onwards, Manchester United have collected trophies galore. But they've also done generally well in the league, which obviously not since Fergie's left they haven't won it. But they've seen the club really go backwards with the rise of Man City. And here they are, and they focus all their hatred. You know, he's not a world-class player. And Man United fans think that every player that plays for them should be world-class.
Yeah,
And I think, like Maguire, yeah, he then became the target because Maguire wasn't there, so it's pick on him. He's not world-class. You know, he's
so he starts. You don't rate Sufao anymore. You think?
no. That's not what I'm saying.
All right. Out of the 2, AWB starts ahead of him.
If we sign him, I love Kufal to bits like Souček, and actually I think he's pretty decent going forward. and it's a bit hit or miss who I would start, who I wouldn't. But
Okay.
if we do sign Wan-Bissaka, he is pretty decent going forward.
All right. I think there's a very good chance, I'm told, but it should be down to, as the Sun says, and I've been saying for a while, Man United have got to take some of that money we give them and pay him off with a sort of golden goodbye. Same with you, John. You rate him and think he should start ahead of Sufal or not?
I think he's a good player. I think he lost his way at United, and hopefully a new start
Oh, Jesse Lingard time, do you think?
with us. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I think he will be pushing for an England spot. I think he's a good right back.
Where is Jesse now?
Is he still in Korea? By the way, just got an update. I asked while you said about Alvarez. Alvarez is back in training, so he's not going to be out for 2 months. He was individually training while he was out in Florida, and he's due to join main training now back in the UK. So I don't know if he's going to be match fit in 2 weeks, but certainly doesn't sound like he's going to be out for 2 months with his hamstring injury. It doesn't sound too bad. Obviously, he missed the rest of Copa America, but sounds like it's not a serious tear. But time will tell. Let's talk Zoom, and then we're going to talk about the squad. So I got told yesterday, I've got some rumours come out that Zuma could be departing. So the senior source has always told me, if you want another centre-back, right, there are 4 centre-backs. Obviously, you've got Kilman now, Maxi Kilman. You've got Mavropanos, you've got Aguirre, and you've got Zuma. There's 4 on good wage, slots, etc. If we're going to get another centre-back, one of those has to go. Obviously, it's not going to be Maxi Kilman, right? Unlike to be Mavropanos, but who knows? And then you're left with Aguirre, who we know wants to leave, but no one's coming with an offer. And then you're left with Zuma. And the rumour online yesterday was...
The rumour for Zuma?
Rumour for Zuma. To guess this.
Thought that had been... I thought a certain ITK had revealed that.
Well, yeah, but I
Yes
went to the senior source, yeah? It's not public. Went to the senior source, who it remained tight-lipped and refused to comment on it. Now, read on that what you can. The rumour is that either he will be... the contract will be cancelled by mutual consent, making him a free agent. He'll be sold for a nominal fee, maybe to Saudi Arabia or MLS, where it's a bit better on his knees. Or, and this is a big or we pay him off a percentage of his remaining wages. Now, I don't know which one's true, or if any of them are true. All I've been talking to senior source, answered pretty much everything, but he won't answer on that one. So read on that what you will. Whether we saw him in Jacksonville after he played, was it Jacksonville or was it Dagenham with ice on his knees after playing? It was Dagenham with ice packs on his knees.
No, against Jacksonville, didn't he play 45 minutes as well?
Yeah, but he don't look that great. Look, I'm going to nick this from Stell, who gave me this headlines. It could be curtains for Zuma. Do you get it? Curtains? No, it doesn't quite work, does it? It
Not
looks
when you say it. It could be Kurt.
That's it. You see, it's better when you write it rather than try and pronounce it.
Well, I haven't wrote it, but I managed to pronounce it.
Yeah, I know. So, look, I think he's going to struggle this season beyond being a big player. And if you need cover, you need someone that can play more than 45 minutes, don't you? Nigel? Is it curtains for Zuma?
To be fair, possibly. I think realistically, when a player has played to the level he has, perhaps retirement is the best thing, because he's only going to hurt himself more. He'll probably need new knees in 4 years' time.
Yeah, probably.
But some people love football that much; they just want to keep going until physically, he thinks he can. Still
Andy
put
Carroll.
his body through it.
Who was the other one that had a special? Andy Carroll, West Ham player that had a special program to look after there. I know ankles. It was Andy Carroll, but there was another one we had that. Oh, Cotton Cole, I think it was as well in the end.
Did it?
Yeah.
Did we notice?
But, that's harsh.
Is it?
Cult hero.
To some.
That's
Listen,
Anyway,
the only reason Colton Cole is a cult hero is two things. One, for me, I've got a lot of time for him because he took a pay cut to stay with us.
yeah.
And two, the fact that he just stayed. Yeah, nobody really wanted him though, did they? I don't know. You know, there was a period under Zola where he was top notch. But let's face it, you know, there was that laughable moment where we re-signed him because we were so desperate for strikers. We re-signed him, but he'd been let go by us for nothing in the summer, and no one had come in for him. You know, people forget this. You know, he was released by Allardyce. We had a striker problem. I think it was like the October or the November, and we ended up re-signing Colton Cole after we'd let him go for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's not kid ourselves. You know, I don't know. Perhaps
Anyway,
I'm too old.
Let's talk about the squad. It's the last thing we want to talk to before we mention quickly Betway Bet and Supporters Club. We have got, if we sign AWB, we have got a squad of 24, of which 8 will be homegrown. So I'm just going to, thanks to Stel for providing me this and doing my minion work for me. In position 1, Fabianski. Number 2, Wan-Bissaka. 3, Cresswell, homegrown, first one. Zuma, 4. Sufal, 5. James Ward-Prowse, homegrown, 7. Rodriguez, when he joins, probably 8. Antonio, homegrown, 9. Paquetá, 10. Guilherme, doesn't count. He's 11, but he's under 21. Kudos, 14. Mavropanos, 15. Somerville, 17. Ings, 18, homegrown. Alvarez, 19. Bowen, homegrown, 20. Fotheringham, homegrown, 21. Cornet, 22. Areola, 23. Fulkrug, 24. That's his number. 26, Kilman, homegrown. Agur, 27. Suchek, 28. Irvine, 29, and Emerson, 33. That is, well, it's 25 players, but the Guilherme is under 21, so doesn't count. That means you've only got one position. If you read the reports, we're going to sign another 7 players, of course. So my question to you guys, right, I said all along, right, we're going to balance the books. You know, our net spend will be around 60 million. And funny enough, you may have seen a tweet, it's around 68 million as it stands now. Without add-ons, a little bit more. But I still think there's going to be a few. Who do you think could be surplus to requirements before the end of the transfer window? Stop with you, Nigel, out of the list I've just given you.
Repeat the list.
Fabianski, Cresswell, Zuma, Sufal, James Ward-Prowse, Antonio, Kudos, Mavropanos, Ings, Alvarez, Bowen, Cornet, Agur, Suchek.
Cornet, maybe. I don't know.
Cornet, if we can get a price for him, I think
Yeah.
we'd snap anyone's. But is
I
anyone
can't see us letting go of Mavropanos with Zuma
No,
the way
I
he
can't
is.
see. I mean,
Ings or Antonio.
I see
you know-
both going back to my previous thing.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, funny enough, Antonio's interview, you know, you read between the lines, but he has scored. You know, I think Antonio actually would be
How
kept
about
on. I
Suchek?
think Ings has got more chances of leaving than
How
Antonio.
about Suchek?
If he doesn't feature, I could see him going. It'll be interesting to see the first couple of teams, and what happens in the last week.
How about James Ward-Prowse? I don't see him as a starter, and I think he's got some value.
Yeah, possibly, and I'll tell you why, because of that reason for money.
I mean, he could go back to Southampton. They love him at Southampton.
Yeah.
Helps balance books. John, you're in charge.
But here's one thing I will say to this, yeah, is that if you want to build a team to challenge to the top 6,
Yeah, you need a big squad. I know what you're going to say.
Well, no, not a big squad. You need quality on the bench.
Yeah, I
Now,
agree.
maybe with these additions and whatever, we would have quality on the bench.
But we haven't got Europe, have we?
No, but will these players be happy to sit on the bench and wait
That's
their
right.
turn?
Well, that's the question.
The thing that never
John,
happens.
you're J-Lo for a day. Who would you be making available out of that list?
Well, yeah, no, I agree with what you've been saying. You know, a lot of them. There's quite a few that, you know, if someone comes in for them, I'm sure we'd seriously consider it. You know, but I agree. Again, I agree with Nigel. You know, the people like James Ward-Prowse, you want to keep them. You want them in the squad. He probably won't start, but you know.
Well, I'll tell you something really interesting. I occasionally I go on to the West Ham website to see
Boycott the club.
who they've changed it again. They had a I'm gonna have to find it again, but I went on the mobile app to see who the squad is, and it had a lot of the kids in there, and I didn't know whether that was some kind of pointer on we're going to be looking for some kids who are going to be classed. I mean, under 21, they don't need to take up a place, but whether they were going to make the thing, I'm going to have to look it up where it is, because I've just gone on the web version of it and it's not there, but on the mobile version it was. Anyway, let's move on from transfers and quickly, because we're getting to that hour mark, which we said we were only going to do tonight. Betway boycott. Obviously, from the last time we spoke, and we had Paul on. Stell's following us, by the way. Paul Colborne is going on Stell's voice. He was prompted by our interview. So they opened up another. I did find out it's 22,700 or 22,400 is the whole bottom tier. I don't know if any have been screened off. But they have been slowly selling them. I think last time I looked, I will look again, there was about 11,000 seats left. Has it been a success, Nigel? I know you've been behind this sort of boycott the Betway. Do you think it's got the attention of the club?
Yes.
Sorry, have we lost you there?
Yes, I said.
All right. I think I've just turned my speakers down. Hang on a minute. Say that again.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm in now.
But what? Yes.
For the third time.
For the fifth time. Yes, the club have been affected by the boycott. I think it's affected them a lot. I think their desperation in giving tickets away and everything else, you would have expected at least 20,000 for this game as a minimum, and 20,000 would have been a failure. 20,000, we could have claimed a boycott.
I think it was 27, the last one in 2021, and that was with the whole place open. This is only the lower tier.
No, that's what I'm saying. So anything less than that. So the fact that they're scrabbling around at 10,000 only because they're giving tickets away.
Who are they giving tickets away to?
Well, to be fair though, Nigel, just on the giving tickets away, they always give this one away. And I'll tell you a story, and I've been telling this story to a few people. They tried to give them to local schools, local community groups in Newham. Yeah. They struggle. They struggle to give tickets away. Why, Sean? They really do. Go on.
Shall I give West Ham a tip there?
Go on.
Try giving them away before the schools shut, before summer holidays.
Right, okay.
Yeah? Don't wait until the last week in July, because I hate to break it to the West Ham. All the schools have shut now and the kids have gone on their holidays.
Yeah.
You can't turn up to schools when they're shut and say, here's 30 tickets each. Yeah. You're too late.
All I know is for certain games, and this includes European games and cup games in the early things, they've tried to give tickets away to community groups through the foundation. And they really struggle to give away more than 1,000. It's often there's just not enough take up, and maybe they're poorly organised.
They've neglected because they are poorly organised. They have neglected the local area, and now what they're doing is neglecting the wider fan base. They're picking a fight, and they've picked the wrong fight, because this time they've managed to unify, I would say, a minimum of 75% of the fan base against this move, maybe more.
Yeah.
and a larger demographic of the football
Yeah, yeah. I
world,
mean, it's
or the fan
we've done it a
bases.
couple of weeks ago. Everybody heard what I said then. Nothing's changed.
What's the petition up to now, Nigel?
Is it 14,000, I believe?
I'm just going to quickly look
Go
at
and
it.
have a
Right.
look, Sean. Tell me, it might be a bit.
It is
15 now.
14,807. Should we do
Yeah,
our normal
it's
to try and get it
15,000.
to 15,000 while on air, kind of thing?
Well, you could do this. You could tweet it out and let's see if we get 15,000 before Stell's show starts tonight.
Yeah.
So we can take that claim.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen. I'm not really going to discuss much publicly what's going on, but things will happen. The first game, and then take stock and see what happens.
Yeah.
There's been no comment or anything from the club. Any
No,
sign of any kind of like row back on anything?
Not beyond the statement they made, John.
no.
There were
What,
no-
and what did they? And this is the thing, and this is, there's a few wider issues here as well in regards to fan engagement, these advisory boards, and everything else. I'm sick and tired of hearing about, I publicly explained to Hammers United what I thought about the regulator. They're pinning their hopes on, that a government regulator we've got runs our water, and it's the worst it's ever been ever.
Yeah, true.
Our utility bills have got a government regulator, and then the highest they've been ever. And we expect the government to appoint another Quango to oversee football and take on the might of the Premier League. I don't think so. In a million years. So I think what needs to happen is the fans need to do this themselves, and this is what I'm advocating. So if there's any demonstrations planned in the future, I would urge as many West Ham fans that are going to the games to take part.
Okay.
Who
So-
knows?
I am just emailing that, so I've just tweeted that out. So if you could retweet that, Nigel, let's see if we can get over to 15,000. We're going to need 100 and what do we need? What did I say?
Need about 130, isn't it, or something like that?
193 signatures by the time Stell goes on, so that would be good. Now, interesting. I was just about to talk about, if you listen to the outside broadcast or before, you hear Nigel talking about Supporters Club, and we have been in dialogue
Did
with. Yeah, we've been in dialogue with the Supporters Club over. We wrote an email which I copied Nigel in, as I promised I would, asking them about supports and everything. And we have been having dialogue with members of the committee. I don't know if you. Anyway, we won't talk about some of this on air. But I was promised. I would get a reply by Friday, and they would be communicating out, and they would be communicating to members. And today I spoke to them, and they said we've got a meeting with a venue. We're going to get something out on Monday. And just a few seconds ago, an email just landed in our email boxes. I'm going to read it out, and I'm reading it for the first time. First of all, an apology in the delay, updating everyone on the plans of the new venue. It's been a slow process. We're pleased to finally announce we have a new venue starting at the Aston Villa game on Saturday, 7th August. As previously announced, we will be partnering with UCL and using their Marshgate building right outside the security entrance at Bridge 5, convenient for us, nearest the club shop. It's just across from the walkway from our previous home and the big red orbit structure. In this email, we'll also cover having an overdue AGM and also an update what's happened with the Independent Supporters Board and the new fan advisory. Now, I probably won't go into details about the new venue, but if you remember, you'd have got the email tonight. The AGM, they're going to have... Now we have a new EGL. We'll have a committee meeting on Wednesday night for an AGM. We'll then follow a process for those who are members on the 31st. So we will be invited including asking for nominations for various committee roles that are available, Nigel. And then on the independent, the ISC, a message from Paul Christmas says, I've been working on the ISC on your behalf for the past few months. I'll be having a full and frank discussion on these issues. I'll be grateful if you advise whether you've got any comments. So he's asking for comments on the season ticket and concession issues. And finally, on the FAB, you may be aware that there's a new FAB. This will replace the IC. We have applied for the supporters club to be a member. We intend.
Have they asked the members if they should apply?
Well, I did ask them that question. We intend to see whether there's something that the members want us to be part of going forward, and we will consult with members once we see how the new FAB is going to operate in practice. So there you go. They will consult with members, Nigel. I welcome a detailed. I mean, my email is mostly answered in that communication to all members, but the devil is in the detail, as always. There you go.
Well,
last thing before we go, we're at the hour mark. I don't know if either of you saw the Pellegrini statement. Basically, in hindsight, it was a wrong move to go go to West Ham. The owners were too knee-jerk, and when it all went wrong, he was sacked. I'm paraphrasing here. Have you read it, Nigel?
I've read what you put.
Yeah, hasn't mentioned Antonio in the thing. Is he delusional, Nigel?
Is he delusional?
Well, you can't accuse West
I
Ham
don't
of
think
being
No,
knee-jerk
I
reaction.
Hold up, I think he has got a point, Sean.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I do. Right, and here's the thing. He's come in after Moyes, after Bilic, yeah. So there was a big, and the thing about it is there'd been a lot of bad buys since we'd moved into the stadium. The first season, and a lot of the transfer dealings were Sullivan led, yeah, were club led, not so much Bilic. Now I'm sure some Bilic signed off on and whatever, but anyway, we'd had problems. Moyes come in. Moyes didn't sign anyone apart from Bubbles, whatever his name is, the Northerner, who disappeared as quick as he can. Yeah. So that was it. So the club was in a bad place. Yeah. And then in he comes. We made lots on. I think he lost his first 4 games off the top of my head, Pellegrini. And from that bad start, we had a bit of struggle. But there was no real complaints about the way we played football. There wasn't. The results weren't fantastic, but Arnautovic did okay. And for whatever, somehow, or by hook or by crook, I think it was with a late run, we ended up 10th. We go into the next season, and we're bobbing about towards the bottom at Christmas, and they sack him. 18 months is not enough time to have managed to turn around and achieve what was expected by a fan base. Remember, there was still a lot of angry and bitterness towards the club from the fan base because they'd finally seen what some of us had said for years. Yeah, the folly of the move leaving Upton Park for that stadium. And there was a lot of anger because of, the lies, as people say, that the club told in the move. So the fan base felt betrayed, in my opinion. I didn't, because I never believed it. But that's a different kettle of fish. So with Pellegrini, it was, it was the first time we'd hired a manager, I think, that had won a league title, or like a top division title, as he had done with Manchester City. You could say he'd done that with Mancini's team. Some people say that. Some people say he won it with Mancini's team and failed to improve it and actually made it worse. That's for others to argue.
Mm-hmm.
But, he won a couple of trophies at Man City, came runners-up. I think he'd also... Was he the manager when they lost to Wigan in the FA Cup? I'm not sure. It might have been Mancini. But anyway, they had that. He was only keeping the seat warm anyway for Pep. They were just waiting Pep to see out his Bayern Munich contract. They get rid of him. Now, it loses me a bit because he says about, I gave up China. Well,
I saw.
actually, Pell,
Yeah.
we all know you shook hands in the January when you were still in China to come to West Ham. Because that's what Dave Sullivan told us. Sorry, the Senior Source told us. At the time, we've got longer memories than you have, Senior Source. So there was that thing that they'd done the deal with Pellegrini. So no, he knew, and as a seasoned professional, he must have looked at what Gold and Sullivan had done at their previous football club and at West Ham with managers to know the type of manager they are. I felt they were knee-jerk with sacking Bilic.
Yeah.
And they were knee-jerk with sacking him. But the problem is with Gold and Sullivan is when things go bad, the fan base don't really, until Moyes, funny enough, aim their disgust at that time. When we were going through a bad time, everything was aimed at the ownership. The only way they could take that heat off of them, in their eyes, get a new manager in, change it. And that's what they did. So Pellegrini is right to say that the club was knee-jerk. He could have changed this football club. I'll tell you what he also could have done. He also could have relegated us. So we won't know, will we?
No.
I think they couldn't keep up with his ambition. They couldn't fund his ambition. I think they spent so much money in their terms getting some of the players he wanted, expected more in return for their money they spent, and then all they could see going forward was having to try and fund what he needed or what he wanted, because he essentially was in inverted commas an elite manager, wasn't he? So you had to try and back him, and I don't think that they could. So that's why I think always thought they got rid of him.
Yeah, how's he doing at Real Betis? I don't really know because I don't follow it.
Well, he's quite liked there at Betis. I think they won a trophy. They might have won a cup or the Spanish Cup. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure now. I mean, he's still there, so they've not got rid of him. 60,000 seat stadium. So I'm just looking to see what their honours are and cups. 2021-22 Copa del Rey. So 2 years ago, yeah, they won the Copa del Rey.
Okay.
So.
Right. Well, I think that just about, unless there's anything you want to talk about, that just about wraps it up for the last episode, I think, of season 13. This is episode 67. I don't think we're going to fit another one in unless we do one next week. I will not be around for the first game of the season because I'm in Spain.
Are you around next week?
I'm around next week.
Well, just we preview the season.
Yeah, I'm happy to preview the season. John?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, let's do one last one of the last season before we go into the new season, or maybe we make it episode 1. Who knows?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you will be recording in my 2-week absence, won't you, boys?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, all day long. Try not to mention all day long.
What?
Recording when he's in Spain of his 2 weeks, so she goes to every season and misses the beginning of the season.
The season, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe George can come in because he is going to the Villa game. So maybe George can do a impromptu podcast. What do you reckon, John?
I don't know. I'll ask him.
Oh, will do. I will do. Anyway, that's all the time we have.
Well, we've increased the petition.
Oh yeah, by how many?
5.
Okay, right. Well, I'm going to get on it and get some traction going after this, and see if I can get a few friendly faces to retweet it, etc. And we'll get it up. What time is Stell recording?
Normally starts about 9:30, or might be 9 o'clock.
Right. We'll see what we can do. It'll be a nice surprise for Paul. Are you making a guest appearance by any chance?
No.
Oh, okay. Makes a change.
Does it?
Yeah, I thought you would.
Why would I do that?
I know. She mates with Paul.
I'm mates with a lot of people.
Yeah. Anyway, I've been Sean.
Anywho,
Anywho, I've gone through a whole episode without saying that. I've been Sean. John has been.
yeah, happy to be here.
Nigel has been.
Drinking beer.
Oh, you have been drinking beer. And Len didn't turn up.
Monday night beers.
There you go. Come on, you irons.
Radio out.
Bobby Moore. More than just a podcast. Bobby Moore. More than just a podcast.